Welcome back to the podcast. We're going to be talking about Penny Bell's death. Penny Bell was a 43-year-old English woman who was found murdered in 1991 on the 6th of June, which was a Thursday. She was found in a car park of Gurnell Leisure Centre, which is kind of like a gym and a pool facility in Greenford, which is in the greater London area. So we're talking about maybe like London suburbs. So, Rain, have you ever heard about Penny Bell's death?
No, definitely not. And I'm actually curious as how did you manage to find this case?
Just like any other case that I find, just
Read it?
just read it, and I'm looking for cases that spark my interest. Penny Bell, she was stabbed over 50 times as she sat behind the wheel of her vehicle. Okay, 50 times. We have excessive stabbing.
Immediately sounds like a crime that's filled with hatred.
Hatred, personal. It's a personal crime.
It seems so, yeah.
Seems like.
You wouldn't stab a random person 50 times.
If it's
out
just
of
a
nowhere.
robbery. If it's just a robbery.
Or like anything in general.
Yeah.
Unless you're a psycho.
Yeah, you must. There's some something personal here. Penny Bell lived with her husband at the time of her death. Her husband's name was Alistair Bell. Both of them had recently moved into Bakerswood neighborhood. They had, well, not really recently. They had been living there for 4 years. Sorry, so they moved in there in 1987 in October. The two of them had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The family home at the time of Penny's death was actually undergoing extensive renovations, which started in November of 1990. So I'm just kind of trying to do the math here. It seems like she's been renovating the house for at least more than half a year at the time when she was murdered. And the renovations in total were valued at around 100,000 British pounds, which in early 90s money, I don't know, kind of close to 200,000 British pounds of modern day money. So it's a lot of money. Shortly before she was murdered, a couple of days before she was murdered, Penny did some strange things. One of the strange things that she was observed doing was that she actually had withdrawn 8,500 pounds from her and her husband's joint bank account. She did this on the 3rd of June back in 1991, so this was Monday. Let's remember that she was murdered on Thursday, but earlier in the week on Monday, she makes a suspicious withdrawal of 8.5k pounds. And this money, as I understand, has never been recovered.
Well, that's a lot of money.
Yes, and she was not known to withdraw this amount of money.
And do you know if she had any like mortgages, fees to pay or
I feel like
something?
they definitely did, but it was all documented. But this amount was never documented. So we have a very strange withdrawal of money. I don't know what that could mean, but we will kind of analyze it maybe later on. After she was found murdered at a police press conference, which happened 2 days after she was murdered, her husband, Alistair Bell, described to Penny as having something on her mind the night before her death. Apparently, she had fell asleep while watching television at 9 p.m., which was a little too early for her. And seems like the day prior, she wasn't quite herself in the evening. On the morning when she was murdered, on the 6th of June, her husband, Alistair Bell, left the house, as usual, at 8:30 in the morning. He described his wife's demeanor as bright and chirpy, so it seems like nothing out of the ordinary. I believe that he may have also taken the 2 children to school, but I was never able to establish where the children were at the
but
time.
everything was safe and everything was normal so far, right?
Yeah, basically. So also Alistair noted that Penny did not wave him off as he left the house because that was what she would usually do. Apparently Alistair would leave first and then Penny would wave him off to work or to wherever he was going in the morning. But this time she didn't do it. Alistair thought that maybe the kitchen renovation was the reason behind this. Maybe she was kind of preoccupied overseeing the renovation, because I think there were people working on the house at this time.
Okay, immediately, do you think it's one of the builders there?
No.
Okay, just wanted to throw a random question.
No, that's a good question, but I don't think it was any of the workers.
Because I was immediately thinking it must be someone who knew her personally.
Yeah,
Or
that's true.
someone she was working with or something.
Actually, when you think about it, it might be one of the workers, but it's not in the way that you would assume right now. So let's keep moving on
Okay.
in the story. So, Penny left her home in her Arctic blue Jaguar XJS, which is a quite nice, distinctive, fancy car. Like, it's more on the sporty side and it's fancy. It's like back in the day, there were not a lot of these on the road, and you wouldn't confuse it for any other car.
So they were generally like
Well
rich.
off, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were in a rich neighborhood. Greenford was a kind of okay neighborhood.
Well, she was found, I think, murdered in Greenford. They didn't live in Greenford. They lived in Becker's Wood, which is this, suburban homes on the more expensive side.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah. So she leaves at around 9:40 in the morning, which was apparently her usual leaving time. And we also have the car picture here. I don't know if you see it on the file. So what do you think about the car?
Looks like a regular vintage car for me. I don't really know much about cars, honestly.
It does look a little bit more sporty than a regular car. It's
I guess, yeah.
it's
It
like
looks more muscly.
Yeah, it's like a coupe. It's like I think it's an expensive car, that's for sure. So she informed the builders that were renovating the kitchen that she was running late for an appointment. However, it was very strange later on because no record of this appointment was ever found in her diary or within her other work-related documents, and it has never been conclusively established who exactly she was meeting that morning.
But is it out of the ordinary though? Because maybe she didn't really use her diary or other papers as often, and maybe she just kept track of everything in her head.
Yeah, that could also be a logical explanation.
Unless she uses it, the journal.
I think maybe just because it was mentioned in this way, I would assume that it was unusual. Just because it was written that.
It was emphasized.
Yeah. So I would say it's unusual. It has also been suggested that she could have been collecting someone from the railway station because there was a local train that arrived at around 9:50 a.m. So let's put that in our heads that it was suspected by law enforcement that she may have went to the railway station.
Okay, so who was she meeting? Well, like, what are the possibilities? What was she doing again? Like her exact work?
Well, she was a partner for
What does that mean?
Well, like one of the top management people in a company that was offering work agent. It was like a work agency. Like I actually found that company right now.
Yeah.
And I think they're still around even to this day.
Oh,
and
nice.
they offer temporary work. So, like in a warehouse or something like that. So they probably collect commission for every employee that they find for a client,
So there was a possibility that Penny was actually meeting someone in the railway station work-wise.
Well, I don't think she would actually meet the employees themselves because she probably didn't have time to talk to all of them.
Maybe someone a little higher, but then again, if it's someone with a higher position, why take the train?
Or maybe she would meet the regular employee. Honestly, we don't know the specifics of her, job. So an electrician who was the last known person to speak to Penny Bell, probably the one doing the renovation, described her demeanor as normal and casual when she left. So nothing out of the ordinary. And now we have a few witnesses that have seen Penny that day. So I'll walk you through each witness and you tell me what you think about it, okay? So the first witness came forward and they had seen a man waiting by a brown or bronze colored car, and they would get into a blue Jaguar XJS about 9:50 a.m. on the Fulmer Common Road opposite the Brigittine Convent and Guest House adjacent to Black Park. Yeah, I have no idea where any of these locations are.
Yeah. So
But-
is it closer to her place, her home, or her workplace?
You know, I don't know exactly the location of her home, so let's just kind of go with it. So the witness, this witness was walking her dog apparently, and she says that she is completely positively certain that the driver was Penny. It was Penny's car, and obviously it was a very rare Jaguar vehicle on the road. So I think it's highly likely that this was
Yeah, you could
Penny.
remember it.
The man getting into the vehicle, into Penny's vehicle, was described as a white male, about 5'10" tall, and he was around 48. I don't know how they came up with that direct, specific number, but apparently it was around 48.
I just have to say though, the sketch is uber creepy. It's like super creepy.
So now we have the e-fit of this guy.
Like the guy is staring straight in your soul and would like appear in your dreams. And why does he look like his head is like he doesn't have a body?
He doesn't have a body. On top of that,
freaking creepy.
and we're showing this to the YouTube viewers here on the YouTube channel as well, so you could pop in, check out the e-fit. E-fit, like meaning the sketch of the person.
Okay, and I just have to quickly describe him. His eyes are dark, at least here in the e-fit, and his mouth is slightly open, and it's still like complete black, pitch black.
How would you describe this haircut? This is like the most probably regular 90s male haircut. This is the standard male's haircut.
Yeah, I guess.
It
Like kind of looks like a bowl cut, but like longer side covers the ear.
Yeah, like pretty regular stuff here. This guy doesn't look 48. I would probably, the sketch, I would say this guy could be in his 20s from the sketch, or 30s. I don't see this guy being late 40s.
Kind
honestly.
of looks a bit younger to me, like
Yeah.
early 30s.
Doesn't look late 40s. So,
Other than the fact that he looks really creepy, he just looks young.
one?
Could this be? Sorry for cutting you off.
No,
Could
of
this
course,
be
of course.
Penny Bell's lover?
Yes, it could be. It could be. And we will revert back to this thought, but I will say it definitely could be the lover. If she even had one. We don't know if she had one.
Intriguing.
Now let's jump to another witness. Witness number 2 recalled seeing the same blue Jaguar driving along Greenford Road at about 10:20 a.m. So this is about 30 minutes after that other sighting. Now this car was driving at around 10 to 15 miles per hour, which is very slow. So it was driving on the road very slowly with the hazard lights flashing. So if we would say that both of those sightings are actually of Penny, then someone got into Penny's car, and half an hour later, for some reason, the car was already showing signs that there's a potential conflict happening, that Penny is like driving really slowly with the hazard lights on, almost trying to stop somewhere. So there's a conflict already happening in the car. And now let's jump to the last witness. This person came forward actually 6 months after the murder. So it took him a while. And he claimed that he had seen Penny Bell driving into the car park with a passenger. And as she was driving past this witness, she was actually asking for help somehow to this witness, like, help me, or something like that. But unfortunately, I guess this witness wasn't able to help Penny at all. And that's all we know. These are the 3 sightings. What do you think?
I think it's very believable or possible that they
All of
actually
them.
happened, the sightings.
Yeah, I would say this is the one case where I think all of them could be definitely correct.
Yeah.
Because they all included a very distinctive Jaguar model. So, I mean, what are the chances that there was another Jaguar model with a very strange kind of, strange erratic
Behavior,
behavior?
yeah.
There's no way. It's probably all of them are of Penny. So we could pretty much gauge what was happening to Penny. Now, it is believed that Penny Bell was murdered at around 10:30 that morning. She was seen motionless in the driver's seat of her car at the Gurnell Leisure Centre car park at 11 a.m. So if she was actually murdered at 10:30 a.m., that would mean that she got murdered literally 10 minutes after she had the hazard lights on. So she was like probably driving with this man who murdered her, and she was looking to park the car. Once they parked, it's probably assumed that the man immediately stabbed her to death 50 times.
In the car.
In the car.
Honestly, I could see it happening. It could have been a lover's quarrel or something.
Yeah.
And it was already happening in the car, and maybe the guy or maybe Penny was like, I'm gonna pull over. We have to talk about this, or like it's getting way too intense. And then
Yeah.
one thing led to another. I mean, of course, it's crazy, but I could see it happening.
I would like you to bring up the file again one more time. We have some images. I want you to kind of give me your take on what you see here. So, if you could jump to the maps, scroll up a little bit. There's going to be like a map.
Oh, yeah, okay.
From an aerial view. So, I think this is the parking lot where she was found murdered. And we have the scene of the crime. So, as you can see from the crime scene, the car was parked in a kind of like a bushy area.
It's kind of secluded, honestly.
Yeah, that's exactly why it took passerby people to report her dead for like, I think, over an hour. And this gave ample time for the murderer to escape the parking lot. So passerbys had assumed that she was actually sleeping for a while, and it wasn't until 12:15 that day that the police were alerted and her death was actually discovered. Penny Bell had been stabbed more than 50 times in the chest and arms with a 3 to 4 inch blade. It was police, in what police were to describe as a frenzied attack. A forensic investigation determined that the killer had stabbed her from the passenger seat before exiting the car and frantically stabbing her from the driver's side. So it seems like they started stabbing Penny while they were still in the car, then they exited the car and kept on stabbing her from the driver's side.
Wait, what?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the initial stabbing happened when the killer was on the passenger seat, and then the killer took off, went around. And
to stab even more, to maybe finish the job or something like that.
Okay, that was crazy.
Yeah, so it's definitely...
pure hatred.
Yes, something more than just a business relation. Or maybe it's business, I don't know.
Maybe it was business, but like maybe there's a lot of money involved or something. And like the feelings and the resentment is too deep to do that.
So it was pretty strange because this man was able to escape unnoticed, because at that time the Gurnell Leisure Centre was actually almost completely full. It was busy. There were around 300 people there at the time. The car was parked in front of a high hedge perimeter, which blocked the view from the front. Now, this helped the killer to commit the murder secretly.
So does that mean that Penny did not scream at all? Or maybe it was too quick, everything happened too fast?
I feel like it probably happened too fast. And she may have screamed, but I think the killer got very lucky because there wasn't anyone around.
And 3 to 4 inch blade, what could it be? So it's very short, like a pocket knife?
Yeah, I would say it's a pocket knife.
Like someone just had it with them.
Yeah, like maybe like one of those flip self-defense knives.
Yeah.
You know. Okay.
Okay, so sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
Now it seems like it's not. Well, once again, it's okay. I'm just thinking out loud here. Do you think it was planned, pre-planned, or do you think it just happened?
I think it's pre-planned if the killer... Well, to answer your question, we have to think about how did the killer escape? Because they had a lot of blood on them and no one noticed in a very public spot. No one noticed a highly bloodied man escape. So I think there's one line of thinking that maybe he had his car parked somewhere in that same parking lot where he...
Somewhere close.
Yeah, somewhere close. In that case, I think it would have been pre-planned.
Oh, that's true.
So it could have been pre-planned. Or the killer got extremely lucky.
Extremely, like, when did it happen again? Was it like the colder season?
It was in the summer. June
So that
6th.
makes it way more obvious.
Very obvious, yeah. Now there was an interesting clue that was found inside of the car. There was a wallpaper sample. So you know, wallpaper that you would put on your walls to kind of decorate your home. So there was a sample of a wallpaper that was for the purpose, the decoration of Penny's and her husband's Alistair's bedroom. And now this sample of the wallpaper, it was actually laid out in the center console of the car. So the center console, if you could imagine, this is where you have all of your like switches and like your temperature control, all of that stuff.
Dashboard?
Yeah, so there was a wallpaper kind of laid out on the dashboard. So that's very specific. It's almost like they were talking about that specific wallpaper. Why else would there be a wallpaper laid out on the dashboard? You would never have it out there if you're just meeting a random person.
Yeah.
Like to me, that wallpaper clue
It was spread out during the
Yeah.
drive.
What do you think?
Definitely, because I'm trying to picture myself in her shoes. There's no way I'm gonna leave a random wallpaper sample laid out open on my dashboard when I was supposed to pick up someone not connected to it.
And the sample would probably slide down. You actively need to keep it in place.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right.
And it didn't slide down because they were driving slow.
Yes. So we know a little bit more information about that wallpaper.
Who would kill someone for a wallpaper? Just thinking out loud once
It
again.
could be a person who Penny was meeting with, who offered Penny to do that wallpaper job in the bedroom.
Do we know if Penny already had this wallpaper sample prior?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to tell you the information.
Sorry.
No. So basically, we have a little bit more information about the wallpaper. So a woman named Laura Ashley. We don't know who she is, how she's connected to the Bell family, maybe a friend or a acquaintance, whatever. So Laura Ashley had posted that sample to the Bell's home on the 24th of April, which was 6 weeks before she got murdered. So Penny was in possession of this sample for at least 6 weeks.
Okay,
So if she was in possession of it for 6 weeks, it's not like she had gotten it like the same day or the next day. She had it for a month and a half. So for her to have it laid out on the dashboard, I'm thinking that she had to actively put it there. Because, you know, if she gotten it like the day prior, maybe it was like there in the car, whatever.
or the passenger actively put it there.
Yeah.
One of them.
But what would that mean?
They were talking about it. I don't know if it's like business-wise or personal.
Or maybe the passenger tried to stage the crime, make it more about the wallpaper.
No, I don't think he has enough time.
That's true. The manner of the killing.
Yeah, it just seems like he stabbed multiple times. He left the car, stabbed again, and ran.
I agree. I agree with this thought. With this. analysis. So, police, as I've mentioned earlier, believe that the killer would have been heavily bloodstained following the murder of Penny Bell, but no one saw him. That's bizarre. But there was a witness who did see something. Patricia Parry was a woman who was at the scene at the time of the murder generally. She saw a car leaving the parking lot at high speeds, and it was being driven erratically around the time of the murder. So, what a coincidence for someone else to leave the scene in such a bizarre manner. I think it has to be the killer. And if that's the killer, then this crime is premeditated.
Yeah, I'm just actually weirded out about the fact that the killer's car was so close to where Penny's car was parked.
He must have somehow directed Penny to that parking lot.
I think there's a little bit of manipulation happening.
Yes, and when he got Penny to the parking lot, that's when he knew I could kill her and escape. If Penny stopped somewhere else, maybe she would still be alive.
Could be. I just think that area was too specific, and like that specific location in the park, kind of secluded, hidden with bushes. I don't know. Sounds a little bit like the killer manipulated Penny into specifically parking there. Close to his car.
What if it was Penny's lover? Because that would explain to me why Penny parked in such a bushy area.
And then what? And then Penny was talking to her lover about the wallpaper that she's gonna use for her and her husband.
Not necessarily the wallpaper. They could be talking about anything at that point.
That's true. And then something happened.
Maybe she specifically didn't want to be seen with this man in public.
True, but now I'm also thinking that 8,000 pounds that she...
8.5.
8.5 that she took, is it somehow connected to the guy?
I think so. There's no way you randomly get murdered after bizarrely taking out 8.5 grand on Monday. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence.
Do you think she was trying?
Money, that money is connected to her murder, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. But do you think she was trying to break up with the lover? If it was a lover,
I think there's a chance she was getting actively blackmailed.
Oh, that's good.
And she was paying off for silence.
And that's the reason why she didn't get enough sleep.
That money in as I understand, has never been found. So maybe the guy already had the money. It wasn't in
a car at all, right?
Yeah.
The guy definitely took it.
Maybe the guy wanted more. But law enforcement looked into her background, and they found no one who would want to kill Penny. Law enforcement also believed that it was very likely that Penny knew her killer. They didn't think that robbery was the motive because her handbag remained in the car untouched, and there was no evidence of SA as well. However, the nature of the killing suggested a personal motive, which we do agree. 4,000 people have been questioned by police, but no leads, kinda, I don't know, nothing really led to anything significant. Alistair and Penny Bell's business partner, Michael Flynn, offered £20,000 reward for evidence leading to a conviction, but that never really gotten anywhere as well. Penny's daughter, Lauren Bell, believes that her mother knew her killer, as the ferocity of the attack would suggest a crime of passion, and she thinks that it was someone who wanted her but couldn't have her. That's what she specified. And this is where I think the person that she talks about comes into place. I believe that Lauren Bell was talking about a man named John Richmond, who was a former neighbor of the Bell family from the time when they lived in Withmore Road before moving to Beckerswood in 1987. John Richmond was actually arrested by police in April of 1992, so the following year, after he sold a story to the Sun newspaper in which he admitted being the man that Penny had been with on the morning of her death. He admitted being in the car with Penny. However, John Richmond also claimed to have been in a secret relationship with Penny at the time, indicating that she was having an affair with him. His fingerprints were actually found in Penny's car, which is bizarre because he had not been living in the same neighborhood as Penny for the last 4 years. So why would the fingerprints still be in the car? That's bizarre. That means that he did have some sort of a connection with Penny Bell. And he was eventually released from police on bail in the July of 1992 after law enforcement decided not to charge him with any crime. John Richmond eventually was cleared of any suspicions. Police interviewed him again 2 years later in 1994 after he claimed that Penny Bell was killed by an assassin and that he had been paid £30,000 by the man behind the murder to keep quiet. He claimed that he knew the identity of the murderer because he was asked to recommend a hitman to carry out a knife attack, but he claims that he didn't know that Penny Bell would be the victim. So John Richmond definitely is providing a lot of information here.
Oh, what's up with this guy? I don't even know if I'm gonna believe him or not.
I tried finding more information about John Richmond, like his image or anything like that, so I could kind of compare him to the E-Fit, but I wasn't able to find his face.
I doubt it because it's such a common name. Even the last name, I doubt you're gonna ever find him.
Yeah, but I, didn't just Google John Richmond. I was like Googling John Richmond, Penny Bell,
but still.
Nothing came up.
I don't even know if I'm gonna believe him because I don't know, for a hitman,
Yeah,
it's a little, yeah, sure, the killer got away, but it's a little bit lousy.
But think about it from this perspective. Daughter Laura said that she believes that someone who wanted her but couldn't have her was the culprit. I think a lot of people online, and myself included, we think that she's talking about John Richmond. And on top of that, why is his fingerprints in the car?
He could have done it himself, Or do you think he hired someone?
No. I think I think there's a chance that he is the killer.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
I think there's a huge chance that I think that whole hitman.
Yeah, I'm just
story,
trying to kill off that idea. It's because it's a
who
little
is
too.
Who is he, and why would the killer pay him 30 grand to keep silent? That doesn't work. I don't think that's how things work. That's not how I think he was just selling stupid stories to the newspapers to make some money, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
So police also examined Penny's husband, Alistair, as a suspect because he inherited a bulk of his wife's estate as well as a £200,000 life insurance payout, which is kind of getting close to $500,000 in modern day money. However, they found no evidence to link him to his wife's murder, and he had a verified alibi of being at work on the morning when his wife was murdered. So unless he ordered a hit on his own wife, that would mean that he is innocent.
Once again, I don't think it's a hit, mainly because the manner of her death was a little too all over the place.
Too personal.
Yeah, and
a hitman would
a professional hitman
wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it in that area. Wouldn't do it in that manner.
In the middle of a park during the summer.
No,
I think it would be way cleaner.
Way cleaner, yeah.
Yeah, in a way more secluded area. and maybe no one would ever see her again.
Yeah, I don't think it was I think the husband is completely innocent, in my opinion. It seems like from the information that we have. Also, it's some information, additional information. So Penny had worked as a Samaritan. A Samaritan is a person who is part of the Samaritan organization in the UK, and I think they offer mental help to people, like volunteers, like doing the phone calls, answering phone calls for people who want to do self-harm, etc. So she was doing it until around 1982, and law enforcement believed there is a chance that maybe someone from her past, whom she had spoken on on those phone lines, could be responsible. I honestly don't think so, because it's like 9 years earlier when she stopped doing that. So why would someone really remember her like a decade later and go and kill her? I don't know, maybe. In 2003, police were performing forensic DNA analysis on blood stains found at the crime scene, but no additional information has ever came forward. A man named Robert Napper has been interviewed in 2008 following his conviction of the 1992 murder of Rachel Nickel, but there was no evidence linking him to Penny Bell's murder, and he was cleared of involvement. So Robert Napper is actually a serial offender, serial killer from the United Kingdom. He had killed at least 3 people. And one of the persons that he had killed, he killed, I think, Rachel Nickel back in 1992. And if my memory serves me correctly, he had stabbed Rachel 49 times, which is excessive stabbing, just like Penny Bell's murder 1 year earlier. So we'll talk about him in a little bit. Actually, no, we're going to be talking about him right now. Sorry, I'm just jumping through the notes. So a little bit more information about this guy, and then I'm going to actually show you a picture. I'm actually going to show you a picture right now. If you would scroll down, there's a comparison. Yeah, so I will say one thing. It looks like he could be the guy from this. I think he looks eerily similar to the E-Fit, in my opinion.
The E-Fit's still really creepy. I don't know, creeps me out every time I look at it.
And Robert Napper.
Okay, I just want to know what was the hair color, the original one, and what was the color of the eyes.
I think Robert Napper, he is quite a bit older in the picture, in the comparison picture, than what he looked like in 1992, because I think he got arrested in 2008 because it took them 16 years to connect him to the murder of Rachel Nickel. So that's why the E-Fit might be a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking at the mouth, it looks similar.
The eyes look similar.
Yeah, the nose, similar. The mouth, the way that the lips are kind of thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, awfully similar. The only things that are not were the eyebrows.
And the haircut.
I still would want to know what was the hair color.
Yeah, I could see how Robert had the E-Fit haircut.
Yeah.
Some time ago.
Or like the eyes. I want to know what were the eye colors.
Yeah. Exactly. So a little bit more information about Robert, right? So he's an English serial killer. He has been convicted of 2 murders and 1 slaughter. In 2008, he was convicted of the manslaughter of Rachel Nickel. And he has previously been convicted in the 1993 double murder of Samantha Bissett and her daughter Jasmine Bissett. So we know that he had killed at least 3 people in his life. He has been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, as well as Asperger's syndrome. He had a very troubled childhood. His dad had abused his mother. He didn't have a great relationship with his parents. He became socially awkward at school. At 13, he underwent a personality change after a family friend had essayed him on a camping holiday. He became introverted after that, obsessively tidy and reclusive, according to his mother. He also bullied his siblings and even spied on his sister while she was naked. And then he started committing offenses all throughout the late 80s and the early 90s. And I guess the only thing that really would connect him to the crime, why he was connected, is because in the London area, in the Wimbledon Common, which is this kind of like open space area, a little bit like a park, but sort of like it has some buildings there. So in 92, on July 15th, which is literally 1 year after Penny Bell's murder, he murdered Rachel Nichol, stabbing her 49 times in front of her 2-year-old son. And yeah. So 49 times 1 year later. For apparently, I don't know why. I don't know why he did it. I don't know anything about him. I don't know what he was working. I don't know nothing.
That could be his manner of killing, the excessive stabbing.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, maybe I know it was 49.50. Maybe he could have like made a mistake. But anyways, he does look like the E-Fit. If only the E-Fit was colored, we could have compared it better. But I could see him being the same guy in the E-Fit. I don't know what's with the connection with Penny Bell.
The stabbing amount, and it's all happening in Greater London in generally similar time, just 1 year later.
No, but once again, Penny must have known him personally. Because if he's a random stranger who just went into Penny's car, she would have been driving erratically, not slowly, as if she was with a friend or she was arguing with someone who she knew.
Yeah. And this guy, would he be someone who would blackmail Penny out of £8,500 pounds?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
Right?
I doubt it. I don't think he was in that part of his life.
Or would he be talking to Penny about the wallpaper design or something?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Honestly, so sorry.
Go.
He could be, and he looks awfully similar to the E-Fit, but just the manner in which Penny was driving on the day that she died, I would say I would rule him out.
I would also rule him out.
Just because of that.
Yeah, and I would rule him out because law enforcement ruled him out.
Of course, that's like the easy answer.
And they probably have way more information.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, do you agree with me that the 8.5K is definitely connected?
Yes, it's a huge chunk of money. And
how do you think it's connected?
Maybe she was funding a lover, or maybe she was being blackmailed, or I would say maybe she was paying off a debt, but she was rich, so it's probably not the case. Either blackmail or giving it to a lover. But then again, if it was just a gift to a lover, it wouldn't explain her anxiety or like her mood.
The day before.
I was gonna.
I was literally gonna ask you that.
I think she was under threat.
She knew she's meeting someone. That's a secret. She knew she's meeting the secret man.
Yeah.
That's why she couldn't sleep.
Do you
think that's why she didn't even wave off her husband?
Well, you did mention that it was her usual routine not to wave off her husband.
No, it was usual to wave him off.
Oh.
And this particular time, she didn't wave.
This was a tough one because there was a renovation happening in her kitchen by then, right?
Yes.
It could have been, she could have just been distracted by it, or it could go either way, honestly. This one's a tough question to answer.
Yeah. For me also, I don't know if that plays a role here. So she was running late that morning. So do you think she was actually running late for some sort of a meeting? Or do you think she just said that to the workers to kind of just like explain why she's rushing? Or was
why she's rushing.
You don't think she was actually late?
No, I don't think so.
Because she was thinking about it.
I think so.
The day prior, she wouldn't miss this particular very secretive meeting.
But important. Yeah, I think she was just like, oh, guys, I have to go. I'm going to be late for a meeting. Bye.
Yeah, so we know that the manner of her death seems very personal, the killing. And then also we know that there was this kind of sample of wallpaper on the dashboard. So would you connect the wallpaper somehow to the murder, or do you think that it just randomly happened there? I mean, I don't know how it could just randomly appear on the dashboard.
Yeah, I would connect it, but I would think that maybe they were just talking about it at one point. Maybe they started off their conversation with it. I don't know. Well, I think it's somehow connected, mainly because of what you said. If it was there for a while, it would have slipped out or something, and you wouldn't really like leave a wallpaper sample like out there on your dashboard that you're driving around in your Jaguar, in your fancy car. No.
Do you think that the killer actually pre-planned everything and had the specific murder location in mind? The getaway car.
This one's tough. I don't necessarily think so. I think maybe he was asking Penny to drive him towards the location of his car. Maybe, I don't know, maybe whatever they were talking about, it was just, there wasn't any specific location that they're gonna go. Maybe the guy was just like, meet me here and let's drive, let's talk, and then stop in the park, park right there. Maybe it just happened that way.
I'm somehow leaning towards that.
It was pre-planned.
It was pre-planned because I think he had a car. There was a report of someone driving erratically, so I think it was the killer. I think that's the only way they escape, with a heavily bloody shirt and not being seen. Maybe they had a spare shirt already ready, but even having like a spare shirt, that means that you're a pretty not avid killer, but you've put some thought into killing for sure.
Or maybe he just went into his car. It's hard to spot the blood.
If you're gonna stab someone many times, you wouldn't necessarily jump to your mind, oh, I'm gonna get so bloody, because that never happens in the movies. In the movies, you just stab someone and they die, but in the real world, you would get very bloody. So this person, if they had a clean change of shirt, they must have put a good thought into it, or
a lot of thought.
Or do you think that this person had killed before? Do you think this is the first time this man killed?
I think so.
First time, right? First time kill. Yeah, because the manner of killing in such a way would make you think that he would get caught eventually, or at least there would be something similar happening around the same time. Well, then we have to think about the temper. Yeah, true.
That's what I think. I think it was they were arguing. Things got out of hand. One thing led to another. He ran away, and he successfully did so.
The way I see this, I only see two possibilities in my mind. I see possibility number one, that she was having an affair. She was getting blackmailed by the other person. The other person asked her to cash out 8.5k pounds and give it to him, and then somehow maybe it wasn't enough and he ended up killing her. Or it was someone that she was meeting with to talk about the work that would be done in her bedroom, to show the sample of wallpaper. This person was someone that she knew, or vaguely knew at least, and he was probably coming out of town a little bit, and I think that he killed her in that circumstance. I just don't know why he would kill her. If it was just someone who was gonna do some work on her bedroom, probably someone who knew her in a more personal manner.
No, maybe it was just someone who was working for her got so pissed. Maybe she was too demanding.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Or a crazy person.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be a complete lunatic who just snapped.
A psycho. Yep.
A psychopath. Maybe they couldn't agree on the payment or something.
Or the color or something.
Maybe he was promised some money, or he understood that he would get some money and Penny wouldn't pay him up front, and he got pissed.
But why would you keep it as a secret though? If it was...
Maybe it wasn't a secret. We just think it's a secret. We just think that everything that she did led to it being a secret, but it all could be just some weird coincidences.
That's true.
Or maybe it was a secret.
I don't think so.
I think it was a secret.
What do you mean?
I think it was a secret. I think there's a higher chance that it was a secret.
No, I meant like in a manner if it was someone working for her.
Oh, in that way? Then I don't think it would be it. Or maybe it also would be a secret.
Why? To surprise her husband about the new bedroom wallpaper? Nah. I think she was keeping...
yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
She was keeping something a secret.
Yeah. So, if you agree with me, I would like to wrap it up. I would like to ask our audience members to leave their thoughts in the YouTube channel comments.
Yeah. Hopefully justice will still be served.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. And we'll talk to you later, guys, on some new episodes. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast, and we will talk to you very soon. Thank you.
See you.
Bye. Stay safe, guys.